Why was Hannibal canceled so early? I find it bizarre for a show praised and loved by everyone to be ended just after 3 seasons. But there are a few key factors that have led to this decision. So these are the 4 main reasons why Hannibal got canceled. Starting with the first and most important reason, which is the ratings. You have to understand that the people behind broadcasting networks don't care if a show is a complete mess or masterpiece. They only care if people are watching it in real time, playing ads, and earning money in the process. But Hannibal wasn't that kind of show. It started with about 2.5 million viewers, which wasn't bad. But by season 3, it had less than 1.5 million viewers. They didn't care that Hannibal had a really passionate fan base or that it was actually thriving internationally. The numbers weren't enough to make them happy. And in the world of broadcast television, if you're not drawing those massive numbers, then you're considered disposable. Streaming platforms may care more about other things now, but back then, you had to play by the rules. And Hannibal wasn't just a show you could throw on in the background while eating your dinner. It was a show that required attention and an actual investment from the audience. The second reason is that the show was too graphic for NBC's delicate standards. NBC is the network that had the rights for the Hannibal series. But do you know what they usually produce? Safe content digestible by everyone. And that's exactly what Hannibal wasn't. This show is filled with violent scenes that contain torture and murder. Picture this. 1 minute you're hearing dumb jokes from a random show made for kids, and the next you're staring at a gruesome murder scene. The network obviously didn't like that, and after a while they wouldn't allow it anymore. They envisioned themselves as family-friendly, and I guess it must have been too much for them. Had Hannibal been on HBO or any other platform, it probably would have run for at least 10 seasons. But no, it had to survive on a network that thought this level of horror was way too much. And you know what's crazy? Hannibal wasn't even the darkest stuff out there. But the third reason is the licensing problems. Behind the scenes, Hannibal was playing a bizarre legal game of who owns what. The show had the rights to Hannibal Lecter, but not Clarice Starling, the character that makes Silence of the Lambs actually work. She was off limits because the rights were split between multiple studios, making it legally impossible to ever tell the full Hannibal Lecter story. This is where the show's potential for greatness hit a wall. Brian Fuller, the visionary behind Hannibal, had massive plans for Clarice, including bringing Silence of the Lambs into the fold. But thanks to the annoying mess of legal rights, those plans were crushed before they could come to life. And NBC, seeing the giant legal headache that could turn into an even bigger money drain, just decided it wasn't worth the trouble. But the fourth reason is that Hannibal was too smart for the masses. As I've said, Hannibal was not casual viewing. It wasn't a show you could half watch while scrolling through your phone. If you blinked, you probably missed layers of symbolism and an entire psychological breakdown. It was a work of art. Every scene was layered with meaning, begging the viewer to ask questions and dig deeper. And most people don't want to work that hard. Most people want something easy, something they can just turn on, shut off their brain, and laugh at. And that's why it wasn't that appreciated at that time. But it wasn't just the fans who were devastated when Hannibal got canceled. The cast was just as eager to keep the story going. In fact, they've been pretty vocal over the years about wanting to return, even long after the show ended. Mads Mikkelsen, the man that plays Hannibal Lecter, has made it clear multiple times that he'd be more than happy to step back into the role. But did you know that for a brief moment, it actually looked like Hannibal's about to come back? After the show landed on Netflix in 2020, a whole new wave of fans discovered it, and suddenly, Hannibal was trending again. For the first time in years, it actually felt possible. And then, Mads Mikkelsen himself gave fans even more reason to believe. In a 2021 interview, he confirmed that serious discussions were happening.
Brian Fuller said that next year he's going to be chatting about whether it could come back.
Okay.
Have you heard anything about that? Do you know anything?
No. It's the first thing I hear. Right now, there's radio silence. He's obviously doing Star Trek, and we need him.
They need you as well. Would you be?
Yeah, would I be game? I love him. I think he's a genius, and we will definitely find time in the calendar.
But then, nothing happened. The Netflix buzz didn't turn into a renewal, and all that momentum just fizzled out. But the sad part is that Brian Fuller, the mastermind behind Hannibal, had big plans for the show, and they didn't just stop at 3 seasons. In fact, Fuller had a vision that stretched across 7 seasons, each season building toward a more ambitious story that would all add up at the end. But there is also a good part to all of this. Did you know that Hannibal is more popular now than ever? The show has only gotten more popular since its cancellation, and that's mostly thanks to streaming. When Netflix added it to its catalog, it was trending above many newer shows that benefited from big budgets and better technology. Every year, new fans come across it, but when they find out about the show's premature death, they all become upset and irritated. So, why did Hannibal get canceled? Because it was too good for a network that had no idea what to do with it. The show didn't fit the mold that mainstream media was comfortable with. But the fact that we're still talking about it years later proves that great cinema never dies.